It has been a great experience to be part and parcel of the synodal experience. The whole church now is involved in consultations and discussions on how we can be a synodal church, how we can journey together. In India, it is particularly important because we are a land of harmony, so many cultures, so many religions, people from various regions all journeying together. But more specifically, as Christians and as Catholics, we are part and parcel of this movement now, which has been initiated by Pope Francis. Of course, it came about after Vatican Council II, but particularly now, from 2021 to 2024, there are a lot of discussions going on, people consulting at various levels. And I think it's beautiful that all of us are walking along the path, listening to each other, sharing our experiences. There are certain things which are very positive in this whole experience, and that is that a lot of people are becoming aware that by virtue of their baptism, they are part and parcel of this whole enterprise of walking together with the Spirit guiding all of us. So there's nobody who is superior, anybody who is inferior, but everybody sharing their own opinions, sharing their faith, sharing their life so as to journey together, not only with Christians but with people of other religions, since Christianity is a small minority here in India. I belong to the Latin Rite, and we have a lot of structures that are synodal. Of course, even before Vatican Council II, you had different groups where you have functioning of a synodal nature. For example, the Punch and catechists would be discussing things together, not only of what was happening in the church, but in society. You have groups in the church itself. You have groups like Vincent de Paul and other groups that reach out, commissions that reach out to people on the margins. For example, the Labour Commission, Women's Commission, Justice and Peace Commission, who reach out beyond the confines of the church, who try to involve more and more people, fostering this life in abundance which Jesus came to give. So it is a very beautiful experience now that we are all journeying together. And I think by and large the church is functioning within a pastoral and a parochial, a parish kind of level. So there's a lot of activity happening at the parish level. There are groups that are for Bible study, there are groups that gather together to pray the rosary, to discuss about life situations. And that is extremely beautiful. But I think we have to go a long way before we truly become synodal. There is still a hierarchical mentality in many of us, in many parishes all across India, I think, and all across the world, where a lot is depending on the bishop and the priest. And I think it's important that leadership is given at that level. But the danger is this could lead to clericalism also when the priests stay apart from the people of God. So it is important that we devise more and more structures of synodality, where priests, the ordained ministers, along with the lay faithful, gather together, speak, and more importantly, listen to each other. Pope Francis has been speaking a lot about the whole aspect of listening, because when one listens to the other, one comes to know what goes on in the mind and life of the other, and by listening, we can, understand what are some of the problems which people face, and we can together go ahead in synodality. This is what I think is very, very important at this particular point of time. Another important point is to reach out to people on the periphery. We have a lot of people who are poor, not only economically poor, there could be also the aspect of socially, people who are marginalized, like the Dalits, the Adivasis, or you can have people who have mental problems and distance themselves from the church, other people who are, divorced and remarried, LGBTQ and other groups also, who are far away from the church. And I think it is important now that the church, all those who are part and parcel of the church, are practicing Christians, so to say, they reach out to those on the peripheries. That is what Pope Francis has desired, that we be a church that goes forth to people who are in need. And I think the greatest model we have is Jesus. Jesus was a person who went out to the peripheries, went out to the margins to encounter people, to listen to them, and to enter into their life so that he could bring them life in abundance. Each church has its own liturgy, each church has its own background, and it's important that the churches come together. The Latin Church is very interested that together with other churches, we move forward and we have, programs that will help us to engage with each other, that will help us to understand each other better. I think we don't begin with liturgy. There are a lot of divergences in liturgy. So it's difficult to have something very common always in terms of liturgy, but in terms of the dialogue of life, I think that is important where we reach out. And I think in India you have a lot of socio and political problems. And the church at present is a persecuted church in so many quarters in India. That is where I think we have to devise strategies. We have to see what is happening in the country, see how we can contribute, and see how our theology also, is put into the public domain so that we can dialogue with others in society. I think that is what is very important. And churches here, especially in India, have a lot of institutions. And in our institutions, we have people of different cultures and people of different religions. It is through our institutions also that we can have a dialogue with people, discussing about serious issues in life and all of us striving to go forward together. I think listening is the first step. Very often we fail to listen. We devise our own projects and we want people to cooperate with us. But do we cooperate with others? Do we network with others? Listening means not only listening with the ears, they say, but listening with the heart. To empathize with others. We take in suggestions from others, we listen to their points of view, and on that basis, we come together to devise certain projects, certain policies that will help others. I think what is important is to see the common good, the welfare of everybody who is at stake, and that is how it will help us to really be effective. Because I don't think, one person can do it alone, or one institution, or one church for that matter. But when all of us come together, there is a synergy which is produced, and then first by listening, second by understanding, and third by really responding to the issues at stake, to the problems at stake, I think we can make a difference in society.